Welcome back, Resilient Rebel friends. I'm here today to talk about inflation hedges strategies. Now, we got a lot of stuff going on right now. This is economic uncertainty. This is economic insanity. And this inflation, I don't know, and this is 2022. I don't know where this is going, but we need to figure something out. And today's show, I want to share with you guys what I'm doing personally, some of the things. But it's basically what us regular folk, not rich people, 100 heirs, 1,000 heirs, $20 bill heirs, us regular po folks and regular middle class to upper middle class, people not investing in real estate and stuff like that. We don't have the money, most of us, to go and invest in stocks and bonds and real estate and all this kind of thing. So what do? There's nobody out there that I see that's helping us. And I want to try to condense these down into 10-minute segments if we can. So I'm just going to jump right in. The first thing I have on my notes here for inflation hedges is the spin farm effect. And I grow a lot of my own food. I just went the other day, guys, to buy some tomatoes. It was 4 little Roma tomatoes. It came out to $4 before taxes. I live in Sunnyside, California, but I could not believe it. $1 a tomato. And then the shelves are looking kind of weird. So I decided, you know what? I need to grow a lot of my own food. But the problem is I live tiny. I live in a full-time stationary RV in an RV park, and I have gravel, and I have no sun. But I want to call this the spin farm effect because it means that I'm utilizing somebody else's property, so a property that's just sitting there doing nothing. I pay the water bill, I weed, I give the people some food. They're totally happy. You don't have to have land to grow your own food. You don't have to have land actually to start a business. You don't have to have, you can utilize other people's spaces in some sort of exchange for, value for value exchange. And there's plenty of it. There's tons of it out there. So I wanted to call it the spin farm effect to let you guys know that, look, you guys don't necessarily have to own stuff. There are many opportunities out there if you just look at it with the right set of mind. Next on here is what to invest in, right? We have money. And for those of you who don't know what inflation is it's rising, right? If you had a $100 bill in your pocket right now, it's probably only worth about $70, maybe even $60. What you can buy with that, right? You used to be able to buy one tomato for 50 cents. Now it's $1. That means your money doesn't get you that far, and it's going to continue this way for a very long time. So what do? What do I think you should do? I think we should invest in seeds. Why? Because the ROI, the return on investment, is insane. You buy one tomato seed and you plant that in the ground, it's going to give off probably about 100, if not more, seeds off that one seed that you bought for what, a penny? Right? Talk about a return on investment, something that's going to keep going where you can actually feed yourself, right? Well, let's get in the right mindset here with all this inflation crap that's going on. Now, let's just say other people are suffering. You can sell them food after you feed yourself, right? And this is perpetually just keeps going. You keep saving your seeds from that one investment that you made. I think you should buy a lot of different varieties in my book. And seeds, guys, $4 for a package of 50 seeds, right? Of tomato, cucumber, zucchini, whatever. Save those seeds, and next from that pack, that $4 investment, you now have a couple thousand seeds where you can sell seeds, you can sell food, right? The excess that you have, you can use for compost to help to give nutrients to the food that you're going to grow next year, right? It's just perpetual motion. It doesn't care what's going on, whether inflation prices rise or not, or not. A chicken's going to lay an egg regardless who's president, right? Plants are going to grow tomatoes. The tomato bushes are going to produce regardless of what's going on with inflation or an economic crash. They don't really care, right? So seeds, I think, is a really, really good investment. I've spent a couple $100 on different varieties, and that's where I'm going to invest to hedge against inflation, become more of a producer of my own food instead of a consumer. Trees is my next one. Guys, there's so many trees that you can literally walk down the street like a moringa. I didn't know this. I actually just learned. And you can literally take a cutting, meaning you just snap a little branch off or you cut it. And as long as you put the bottom end, not upside down, just stick that in some dirt and give it some water, it most likely will grow. You can do this with herbs, with oregano, thyme, all kinds of rosemary. Take little clippings of stuff and literally start growing stuff. But the significance of trees is that if you were to plant a tree and nurture it, say something like moringa, which is considered the tree of life because it has a lot of vitamins and nutrients and stuff to sustain almost all living animals, herbivores on the planet. Planting that in someone's house, and they don't really take that much water, depending on where you're at, unless you're living in the desert. But yeah, planting these trees gives you an abundance that once they're established, you don't even need to give them water, do anything if you strategically find the right type of species. So trees to me, just they keep giving for years. There's olive trees that are over 1,000 years old, guys, growing on the side of a rock cliff that's still producing. So yeah, I see trees as a huge investment. And you don't have to go buy them from a nursery. You could actually just start cultivating them yourself. Some from just seed. Start composting, as I mentioned, to hedge against inflation, right? All the food scraps that you're eating, all this high dollar you're spending for breads and eggs, and of course you couldn't really compost meat, but all of your scraps, the carrot greens and stuff that you have, any kind of, say, rotten oatmeal that you didn't eat the last day, right? Throw that, it just went bad, you said you didn't want it. Put it all in a pile, bury it in the ground. I actually just did a job for a client where I looked underneath a avocado tree, and literally someone must have just buried a bunch of compost. There was tomato bushes popping up everywhere. And yes, it is at this time of recording this in February of 2022. But just literally by burying food scraps, plants are starting to grow, right? But if you start to harvest or take a lot of your excess, your junk, the food scraps that you have, you could literally start composting, and that's going to be able to contribute next year to feeding your plants. Simple garden automation. I wanted to throw this one in there. My farm, where I'm spin farming, I don't have time to go over there every single day, and I really don't need to go there every day. It's called the biodegradable container gardening systems, and I've designed it that way on purpose. But any of you guys who are busy and you're going to continue working, saying I don't really have the time, I'm going to say, no, you do have the time. For just under $100, you can literally go buy yourself drip irrigation with a timer. Very simple. It's just got a few buttons. You could set it off at any time you want to keep everything moisturized while you're gone, and that helps out a lot. Any way that you can automate something so that you are, could be able to continue to work undisrupted is a gold in my book. Solar power considerations. My electric bill has doubled, and this is pretty insane. I've been thinking a lot about doing solar, but you got to have DC powered equipment and things like that. But definitely something to take in consideration. When my bill goes from $100 a month to $200 a month, I purchased solar panels. For about, I think $199, I think, a few years ago, and I've got probably about 10 of them. When I think about that for lights and all the things that I can power for solar, I think when we get to this point, it's worth it. Basically, the electric bill here in California has gone up by 45%. So if we start thinking that I could save myself $100 a month, granted I live in a tiny space, so I don't have a house like most of you guys do, but you can literally convert your refrigerator, your freezer, many, many things to solar. We don't have time to go in it today, but I think it's at the cost rates, the hikes of inflation, I think we're at the point where it might be worth looking into. A really good bicycle. If you live in the city, I don't have that option because I live way out in the country. There's no stores that within, I got to drive at least 15, 20 minutes just to get to a grocery store. And it's way out in the country. There's just no way. But I think those of you in the city, definitely, there's no gas. You're getting exercise. Get yourself a really good one. And the good thing about when you're riding your bike, you're out in nature. And guess what's out in nature? A lot of edible weeds. Right now in February in San Diego, North County, San Diego, where I live, we've got cheeseweed popping up. We have stinging nettle popping up. We have all kinds of wild edibles. We have dandelion flowers and things like that. And the person who knows what they're looking for, there's total abundance around you. I mean, you could literally pick a salad and medicinal things on your way back home and really make that journey a really cool one, right? Stop buying useless things. I wanted to come out and just say this one right at the beginning. And I was like, you can't just say that. But how many things that people buy as useless, just, I don't know, just dumb stuff. And they're like, I don't have any money. And I'm looking around their house going, this is a pile of junk. What is all of these stupid things that you have? If you're hurting, just stop buying those things. Just buy things that you need, right? And speaking of one of the things that I looked at was kind of, I have a gravity-fed water filtration system, and we have supply chain disruptions, right? We have inflation. That means that the cost of water, even if you're filling up your water jugs from one of those little dispensers, right, or you're buying bottled water, the cost of everything's going up. You know what doesn't really cost much? It's taking water from a hose, putting it inside of a container that has these charcoal filters, and it filters everything out for you. There's no electricity. There's nothing involved. In fact, the stacks functions, if we ever had a huge catastrophe, you could still produce your own drinking water, in a good sanitary manner. And it just keeps flowing. So these are little things. I know it's not probably a lot, but those nickels and dimes, $1 here, $5 there, throw it in a jar. Just every week, just put a couple bucks in a jar. Watch at the end of the year how much stuff adds up. And then look at the majority of all the things, from your water filtration system, you're leaving the lights on in your house, all of these, not keeping your freezer packed all the way full so that it has thermal inertia in there. It keeps it nice and cool. All of these things start to add up. Reverse osmosis, you may say, oh, well, I've got reverse osmosis. Yeah, but to have somebody come out and change the filters, the cost of those filters, the labor's gone up through inflation, when literally all you have to do is unscrew 2 to 4 canisters in your gravity fed system, and it takes about 5 minutes, in contrast to hiring someone to spend the gas to come to your house, pay insurance and all those kind of things, and the supplies of all the intricate things. If the thing broke and you didn't know how to fix it, right, and they can't get out there and you've got no drinking water, you see where I'm going? Fermented foods, I think, is another great one I have on my list here. To hedge against inflation, they have good bacteria and stuff for your gut. They last many, many years. They're good for you. And I think it's just a cool thing, a life skill to have. Your food should be your medicine should be your food. And nothing better than fermented foods like sauerkrauts and stuff like that. And kimchi. So these are really, really good foods and healthy for you. And you get food. I guess what I'm saying with inflation, you actually get a meal and you get your probiotics at the same time. Barter exchange things. I just did this with my website builder. I went and fixed his roof so that he can go and help spread the news about my wonderful construction business. There's no taxes involved. Nobody can stop us. It's not illegal, right? There's probably about $800 worth of goods and services that we just both exchanged. I happen to have some extra materials, fixed the leak in his roof. I said, for $800, will you fix my website up and tune it up and start sending some posts out and get me more traffic? Yeah, for sure. I think this is one of the missed things, and as a resilient rebel, to rebel against the system is for us to start trading amongst ourselves. You got to know the right people, right? You got to get yourself out there and actually have some skills, but everybody's got something that they're good at, and I think that we should exercise our freedom to do so without being taxed. Last one I have is home brewing. I love my beer, guys. I just got to come out and say it. There's a lot of things you can make, such as kvass, it's called. Just again, when we're talking about fermented stuff, you can actually ferment your own alcohols. And I wanted to bring this up because of inflation. I saw these really cool things, and I think it's in Boston or something, where these guys literally converted their garages into a bar. And legally, the guy had a little tiny pizza oven and stuff that he made for guys, and pretzels, and just the neighborhood. Instead of drunk driving, guys would literally, and women would walk down the street to this guy's house at nighttime. It was like his night job. He'd open up the garage door. Some of them spent like $100,000 and made these like really cool like tiki torches and stuff, like really top end stuff. The TV in the background. They buy a bunch of liquor, and people are happy to pay, and then walk home instead of drinking and driving, but they all get to hang out and eat some pizza, and like, they're just basically, what I wanted to say is they built like this business out of this thing, and somehow they're doing it legally, right? I think, gosh, this is just my little hangout spot, and these are my friends, right? There's no exchange here. Get my drift? But I just thought it was so cool, and so being a resilient rebel, switching things around like that, and being able to actually make an income at your home, and maybe doing something that you like, and having some fun with it. So inflation's trying to screw with all of us, guys. It is screwing with us. A lot of bad things, but we got to get our mindsets together. We got to start thinking about how we can do things a little different. And I just wanted to give you guys some stories and some examples of things I'm doing and things I've seen done. And once you guys get the gist of this, once you get the mechanics to go, yeah, what can I do? Believe me, no matter what station in the economy, as far as financially that you're at, there is something you can do. Don't just sit there like the majority of people in the rat race and just rot and be told and do what you're told. Start getting out there. Start getting a little rebellious. Start getting a little inquisitive about things. Asking yourself questions. Asking other people questions. Look around you. Look at these problems that we have and try to think, how do I solve them? How do I make my life even better than what it already is? Right? How can I actually capitalize in a good way, not a negative way, with my community and things around? What are things that they need? Maybe I should open up a little bar. I don't know. Maybe I should brew some of my own little recreational ethanol, right? All right, guys, that's all I got. All right, guys, that's the show. I want to thank you guys, each and every one of you, for taking the time out and being here today. And if you guys can, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. If you did give me a thumbs down, please let me know why. I love to hear all your guys' opinions, but it really helps me out. That's all I'm asking, is if you guys like and share, comment on the show. It helps the algorithms for this show to get known. That's what's going to keep the lights on around here. So guys, there's an email down below in the description. If you guys want to make any comments, just say hello, give any suggestions. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. And human up, my friends.